When did you understand that footage was from?
Objection, Your Honor, already asked and answered. He said he didn't recall.
I'll sustain it, asked and answered.
That's to me.
All right, and the message he's sending to you, and this is October 18, 2016, is hopefully that
Objection, Your Honor. Exhibit's not in evidence, and she's reading directly from it into the record.
All right.
All right, does this refresh your recollection that Mr. Depp referred to Amber Heard as a cunt, and in fact, cunt's rotting corpse is decomposing?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection if you could rephrase.
I'll ask it differently. Do you recall Mr. Depp ever telling you that he, in base terms, hoped that Amber's rotting corpse is decomposing
Objection,
in
Your
the
Honor.
trunk of a Honda Civic?
I'll allow it.
Were you surprised to see Mr. Depp with these injuries?
Objection, leading.
All right. I'll sustain as to leading.
And you hadn't seen your new bride in 3 or 4 weeks, and she arrives. You're not happy about her filming with Billy Bob Thornton, and so as part of this altercation incident, after your finger is injured, you write starring Billy Bob and Easy Amber on the mirror, correct?
Objection, compound.
I'll sustain the objection.
Even as you are ranting about Ms. Heard to Dr. Kipper, even as you were talking about her ambition and expressing your objections to that, you still admit to him that you cut the top of your middle finger off, correct?
Objection, compound.
All right. Sustain as compound.
You tell her no goddamn meetings, no movies, because you didn't want her acting. You wanted to control her career, correct?
Objection, compound.
That's
Hold on,
patently untrue. It's a great
Depp,
guess.
sir. All right. Yes, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Sure. My question was just, is this a text exchange that you and Mr. Depp had on September 1st, 2017, from 2:34 to 2:36 in the afternoon?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance. The date, this is well after.
What's the relevance to 2017?
The relevance is that Mr. Bett testified yesterday that he'd seen Mr. Depp have a glass or two of wine, and this is direct evidence to contradict
All
that.
right. I'll allow it. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Since there's no time frame on that. Okay.
All right, do you recall Mr. Depp ever referring to a circumstance with her as carnage?
What's the relevance? Or?
We're talking, he's trying to give character testimony here, and I'll tell you what, I'll move to a different
Okay.
one.
Or do you believe that disagreeing with someone or trying to reason with them or nudging them justifies them getting abused?
All right. As to foundation, I'll sustain as to foundation.
Did you ever have reason to believe from someone other than Amber that Mr. Depp could act like a child if he didn't get immediate satisfaction?
Objection, Your Honor, lack of foundation.
I'm asking if she had.
Overruled. I'll allow it. That's fine.
Based on what you observed of them together, how would you describe Ms. Heard's relationship with Mr. Depp when they first started seeing each other?
Yes.
Objection, foundation.
All right. Foundation.
Your Honor, I believe I've laid the foundation that he saw them frequently together when they first started dating.
Yes, sir.
How he would describe their relationship is
All right.
not the foundation.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Mr. White, are you aware that Mr. Deuters apologized to Amber for Mr. Depp's conduct afterwards?
Lack of
After the
foundation,
Boston
hearsay, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
So, and you talked to Josh. What did Josh tell you? Josh
When?
Drew, he took you to the side. What did he tell you?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
All right. I'll sustain the objection to hearsay.
All right. Before you spoke with Josh Drew in the other room, what, if anything, had been said about what Mr. Depp did the night before?
Objection to the extent it calls for hearsay, Your Honor.
All right. Be a hearsay objection. I'll sustain that objection. Next question.
I'm asking what, if anything.
That was still solicit hearsay.
But he already testified.
Where did you start working on that day?
On that day, I drove to his West Hollywood address because Mr. McGivern had sent me a text message stating they had an argument.
Objection, hearsay.
All right, I'll sustain as to hearsay.
Were you aware that Mr. Bailey said that Mr. Depp was, quote, out, end of quote, for Pirate 6
Objection.
in October of 2018?
Hearsay.
All right, I'll sustain as to hearsay.
Just asking if you were aware of my question, that there was a perception that you weren't around for the last couple years before Amber, and that changed when Amber came into your life. That's all I'm asking.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
There were extenuating
I'm not
circumstances.
sure if he's the answer, but for that objection, I'll overrule that objection.
Thank you. You're also aware that there was a perception, you were made aware, that Lily Rose believed that Amber was a good influence on you and changed you for the better, correct?
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
I'm just asking for what his understanding is.
I'll sustain the objection. Let's move on.
Okay. All right.
Very brief
You don't have
period.
to, you don't have to answer that question. I sustain the objection.
sorry.
That's fine. Next question.
Other than a water bottle or a plastic cup, did you ever see Ms. Heard throw anything else?
No, other than what he told me when she threw a broken bottle and sliced his finger.
Sir, I'll sustain the objection. The jury will strike that testimony. Please just answer the question asked, and when there's an objection, do not speak, okay?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Other than Ms. Heard's birthday celebration that evening, do you recall anything else about April 21st, 2016?
He had a meeting that afternoon, and which extended into the evening, and that was as I said, the night of her birthday party, where they got into another argument, and she had struck him in the face.
All right,
Objection, move to strike, Your Honor.
sir, if you didn't see it, you can't testify to it, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The jury will strike that answer. Thank you.
Your Honor.
And what did you understand her tone to be on that call that you overheard?
I'll allow it if you can answer. It's fine.
Taunting, egging on, almost demeanoring the baby talk.
Yeah, I'll sustain the objection as to his answer, and I'll strike it.
The whole answer, Your Honor?
The answer, yes.
Would you agree that people who are models and actors can be pretty darn good with putting makeup on so that you can't tell they're wearing makeup?
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation calls for speculation.
I think that's a fair question to ask him.
I'll sustain as a speculation.
And Mr. Baruch, if in fact she's telling the truth, and if in fact Mr. Depp, who has engaged in enormous rage and domestic abuse and violence of Amber over a period of time that you wouldn't know about, then maybe it's time for him to take responsibility, don't you think?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Speculation, lack of foundation, relevance.
Speculation.
He just went off on this rant and rave about assuming that she's...
You asked a question. So
I didn't ask a question that launched that.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay,
All right, next
you don't...
question.
I'll
Did you form an impression that she wanted to go public immediately?
Objection, speculation. That's what Ms. Heard was thinking.
All right, I'll sustain as to speculation. Next question.
Do you know how Mr. Depp's finger was damaged?
Objection, foundation.
Foundation.
It's just background if he knows. I won't ask the full
I'll
the following
sustain the
question.
objection unless he was an Australian and saw it himself.
Okay.
Okay.
Amber, early on in your relationship, throughout your relationship, she didn't love the fact that you were drinking and using drugs, correct? You've testified to that many times, right?
Objection calls for speculation as to what is in Ms. Heard's mind.
I'll sustain as to that point if you want to rephrase.
And you would agree that your behavior in that clip could be intimidating to anyone present in that room, correct?
Objection calls for speculation.
I'll sustain the objection.
You would agree that your behavior was intimidating, correct? correct?
Objection calls for speculation.
All right, I'll sustain the objection.
Did you understand that Mr. Depp was trying to end the argument by hanging up the phone?
His understanding of what Mr. Depp was trying to do.
All right, I'll sustain. That's past speculation.
Your Honor, he heard the phone call and he was there to directly
But
observe.
what Johnny Depp's intention was, I'll sustain the objection.
I know what my intent.
Sir,
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay, thank you. Wait for the question. Thank you, sir.
And you were drinking, you were abusing alcohol toward the end of your relationship with your prior partner, Vanessa Paradis, correct?
I was drinking.
You were drinking pretty heavily.
Were you there?
It's my question to you, sir. In fact, you tried to hide your drinking from your daughter, Lily Rose, didn't you?
Objection, relevance.
What's the relevance?
When your nerves are
But,
pushed.
sir, if you
Can we approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Pardon?
You didn't know what could cause damage to Mr. Depp's hand while you were there on March 8th, correct?
Dr. Kipper told me he sustained an injury on one of his
Well,
fingers.
objection, hearsay.
Wait, you asked the question.
Oh,
Next question.
okay, you said he sustained a...
And at least parts of that plane flight, you were in a blackout, right?
There's
There's no reason you'd tell Paul Bettany that you were in a blackout if it wasn't true, correct?
there are again, when I write something, when I write a text, especially if I'm in a particularly impassioned place, it's a canvas, it's a painting.
Right.
You
And I
choose your
appreciate
colors.
that. That wasn't my question, sir. My question was very simple.
Okay.
Would you agree that at least on parts of that plane flight, you were in a blackout?